All right, hello and welcome to the Legacy Crusaders YouTube channel. This is Benji, and today I'm joined by GGYGO, Gary Gass. What up?
How's it going, guys?
All right, so Gary's been on here before for How to Spiral. It's been a while, but we're back with Striker. Striker was your deck before they killed your baby Engage, right?
Tried to make it work without it, but it was really tough, and Dragon Link was a deck, so we switched it up a little bit.
All right, so before it was one Kagari, three Engage, which personally I think was way worse than what it is now with three Kagari and one Engage. Thoughts on that? Is it better now or better before?
It's always better when you have to engage, because engage into engage is just too strong. But like, it's almost equally as strong now because you have three Kagari, and so it feels really nice. Especially having more copies of Ray in the deck. It doesn't really feel as bad as it did before, because like, even with three engage, if you didn't see Ray, like you still didn't play it. But now we have so many copies to Ray that you can play like more aggressive cards in the deck. You don't have to worry about it as much.
All right. I also like I like it this way instead, the ratio where we have three Kagari and one Engage, because now every deck in the game can't just abuse playing three Engages. They have to like play a bunch of Kagaris to really take advantage of all that. All right.
Removes some of the skill in the mirror though, because if we only had one Kagari, you had to worry about like using a Ray effect to summon your Kagari and then like shuffling it back and just being really cautious about how you summon your Kagari. But now you don't really have to care.
All right, cool. So if anyone's new to the series, what I do is I bring on someone who knows how to play a deck. They tell me how to play out a few games on YGO Pro. I'm in control of the cards, so all Gary can do is tell me what to do, and I'll just make the plays. And I'll try and be you, the audience, and ask the questions that you might have. So we're going to play a few games in a minute, try and learn the decision-making process of this deck, which I would say is pretty much all this deck is a bunch of decision-making. And it's like really hard to play because you're constantly making decisions based on the board state, cards in deck, cards in grave, all that kind of stuff. So just teaching like a combo in this deck doesn't really make sense, right?
It's really hard to say because, like, when you're playing with Striker, even though people are like, haha, you have engaged, so obviously you win. It's really not like that. Like, every game that you're in, you're never on like a free win. You always have to work for it in Striker, which is always A, really fun, but B, it really opens up the skill gap, and like, you really have to know what you're doing with the deck.
So we'll do a quick card by card. We'll get into some games and we'll just discuss any kind of things about your deck list that we may or may not think is common. Like I had an issue with the deck list I saw that you sent me before we looked at this one, which we'll talk about, I guess, during the video. But quick card by card for anyone who's looking to pick up these cards. I do have a TCGPlayer affiliate link in the description. If you have any interest in purchasing cards, feel free to use my link or your favorite YugiTubers link. We have three Sky Striker Ace Ray, two copies of Rose, which was not in the list we were originally looking at, so I wanted to discuss that when we finish this. Triple Ash Blossom, a double Ghost Bell, triple Valor, one Pankratops, one Jamming Waves, one Rhoda, two copies of Desires, two copies of Foolish Goods, one God card, Sky Striker Mobilze Engage, one Upstart Goblin, one Metal Foes Fusion, one Terraforming, one Afterburners, two Shark Cannon, one Hornet Drones, three Widow Anchor, one copy of Multi-Roll, two copies of Area Zero, one Mystic Mine, my favorite card, one Called by the Grave, one Mind Control, three copies of Infinite Impermanence. In the extra, we're on Access Code Talker, one Nightmare Unicorn, one Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, one Hida Fire Charmer Ablaze, one Christian Halki Fibrax, one Sky Striker Ace Zeke, which was also not in the deck list originally. Both of the new cards weren't, so I was a little concerned about the list at first. Two copies of Hayate, one copy of Kaina, three copies of Kagari, three Shizuku, and in the side deck we're on triple copies of Cycle Reader, two Gamma Seal, three Shared Ride or slightly slower Max C, one Harpy's Feather Duster, three copies of Out Imperial Order, Typhoon, and three copies of DDG, Different Dimension Ground. Gary, anything you want to say about Rose? Because when I mentioned that I was looking for someone for How to Striker, and we've done this before, but when you showed me your deck list, it was a winning tournament list. It didn't play Rose or Zeke, and while I have faith that you know what you're doing, I am concerned about people looking at a deck list on a video in YGO Pro and just assuming we don't know what we're doing. So I didn't really want to get into the list, that list, without giving you a little time to maybe experiment with the other cards. And I wasn't sure whether or not you had tested them at the time. What are your thoughts on Rose and Zeke, since they're relatively new to Striker, since I've done the last video on Striker?
So there's a lot of things to know. The first thing I'm going to start off with is a comment saying new information is new information. You shouldn't blindly play cards, even if a lot of people say that they're really good, until you find your own reasons as to why they are good. So I spent a lot of time with the deck. I spent a lot of time testing with friends, a lot of time online and remote duels. and just really trying to find out my own reasons about why those cards are particularly good in the deck. And a lot of people, they're on Rose, but there's also quite a few people I know that are off of Rose. You'll see that I'm playing like 2 Hayate as well. I'm playing the 1 Unicorn, which is another tech thing that is just specific to my list. But we can go over that. Rose in particular is really insane because Desires is a card that is really insane for you to have card advantage going second. Typically, people play 3 going second because you want to be able to have as many cards as you can to break a board. I personally prefer 2, but when you activate Desires when you have Rose in the deck, you would have infinitely more copies of Ray than you would without Rose. So you have a better chance of hitting A, and then B, you also feel better about the Desires because you're not banishing like 2 copies of Ray and then you have 1 left, which makes it really nice. In the mirror, it's really nice to have Rose because there's an interaction where if you have Rose in your graveyard, and let's say you like afterburner your opponent's Striker Link, you'll go Chain Link 1 Rose, Chain Link 2 Ray, they'll both summon, and then Rose doesn't start a new chain, so you can negate the Ray and they can't chain their Ray.
That's
so
pretty good.
That's a super important interaction in the mirror. You have to know it if you want to be doing well at tournaments. That's one thing that can really catch people by surprise if they don't know. Just in my small group, I know a lot of people that didn't know that. So there's that. There is a interaction with Rose that's really common. If you're going against someone who has Dragoon Anaconda, you can go Battle Phase, Hayate over the Anaconda, and then at Resolution, you can send Rose. Rose will summon, and then you can negate Dragoon with Rose.
So they might not realize they need to negate Rose in graveyard, or do they miss timing or something?
So it's one of those things where if I attack you with Hayate and activate effect, you're either going to negate the Hayate, it'll blow up and I'll summon back Ray anyway, or you'll just wait until I try to summon the Rose and then negate the Rose, which either way, you're either going to bait the negate or negate the Dragoon anyway. So it's going to be the best way to clear it. I know that like control decks, the biggest play they have really sometimes is just summoning Dragoon and relying on the back row. But this deck is such a toolbox and it deals with back row no problem. So just being able to bait the negate or destroy the Dragoon after you negate it is the best way you can go about it. The other one that I want to mention too in this deck is I'm not playing Droplet, but for the other of you who are, if you have 2 spells in grave and you activate Engage, you can chain Droplet to send Engage to the graveyard, and then it'll resolve backwards, and you'll actually be able to draw a card because you'll have 3 spells in grave.
Okay, so if you can get cards into grave before the resolution of any striker card, their second effect will become valid.
Correct.
Fantastic. Thoughts on Zeke, since I know it wasn't a card that was in your list originally, just thoughts on it.
So there's a reason why I'm playing Unicorn in the extra deck, and it's because if you're ever really having a problem outing a board, or if there's just a lot of things that you want to out, you can go straight into Zeke, which Zeke is just a spot removal as is of a face-up monster to be able to banish it into your opponent's next end phase. And then you can always link up and go into your Unicorn and then clear another card as well. Zeke is really cool because it has really nice interaction with like Nibiru. If you are in a tough spot and then you can like Nibiru your opponent and then all you need is like a hand trap to go, or like you can either go into like your Needle Fiber combo, or you can go into either Rose or Ray and then go into your Zeke. So just having the extra monster on board is usually really nice. But Zeke is one of those cards too that like you can clear your own area 0, and then you're able to get another monster on board, and it's just really good for link climbing purposes. I also, from this list, you'll see I don't play Nibiru. I just think it's really mediocre, this format. If you play against things like Tri Brigade, a lot of times they're going to go the straight up combo, which is Fractal into Kit. Kit will send Nerval, Nerval will add Karaz, Karaz will summon, and then they'll banish. So they'll almost never hit like the 5 monsters, especially if you already have the 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm, like a lot of lists are running right now. And if you're not running 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm, like you have to this format. It's so good. But it makes Tri Brigade really free. But there's a lot of decks right now that just don't play into the Nibiru, and so many strikers are maining it, and it like terrifies me to just have a dead card in my deck. When, especially if you're going second, the cards in the deck are such a toolbox, they'll clear the board on their own. You don't need like Nibiru to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Nibiru doesn't seem 100% necessary, at least not in the main deck. Maybe it's worth siding if you find that everyone's kind of... I think a lot of people are assuming no one's playing Nibiru, so people might actually play into it a lot. I don't think it's necessarily like a good main deck card for sure. Like definitely siding it could be an alright idea.
If you look at like a lot of the top striker lists right now, they actually are maining through Nibiru. So it's just one of those things, if you are playing striker and you have the option to either kill or play passively, just play passive, because most of the time they're going to be on the Nibiru. and that's going to catch you by surprise. So just always play until you know exactly what's in their hand.
All right, so I guess we'll play a few games. We'll see what comes up, and then maybe I'll come up with some more questions to ask about the deck list in general. Most of these things seem to make sense. I don't think anything... Do you think there's anything in your list that's a little weird that people wouldn't have expected in here that's worth addressing before we get started?
There's like mind control and Pankratops. I've only seen one list so far that won an event too, that is maining the Pankratops. It's one of the best go second pressure cards in the game right now. Even at a one of, it's one of those things where you summon it, even against like the striker matchup, and it's just like a really terrifying card to deal with because a lot of times you'll go to attack, and then if they don't want their monster to die, they'll activate like a back row, and then you can like pop another back row, another card in the field, and you literally trade out like 3 things, like trying to go for your pink, which is really cool. I really like that a lot. Same with mind control. It's just a really solid card. If they go into Appaloosa, you can steal it right away. If they go into a Striker Link in the Mirror, you can steal it. It's an overall really good card, especially if you're trying to go second. You should just max out on the cards that allow you to go second. The other thing is there's 2 Area 0, and a lot of people were on 2 or 3, and it's a really varying difference. But it's my same reasoning as Phantasme, and why I don't like Phantasme is because you should play more cards that break the board than hoping that you mill into the cards that allow you to break the board.
Fair. My concern with Pankratops is I expect this to be a very striker mirror heavy format, and I'd be afraid about putting a Pankratops in Grave just because of Shark Cannon, just reusing my opponent's like Pankratops just like they use Kagari. I don't know. Is that a fear of yours at all?
It really depends because when you're in the striker mirror, it could go so many different ways, and card advantage flips very fast. So it's one of those things where you want to hold it until you're at like a disadvantage. I feel like you don't always put it on board right away. It really depends on like what the matchup's looking like, because most of the time if you're going second, you might just use it to like trade out on like a Widow Anchor that you know is live, just so you can push your plays. But I don't think I would really worry about it too much, because there's so many cards in the format right now. Like if you're playing against like a control deck and they properly summon Dragoon, you can just like summon that. Like, there's so many things that can go in the graveyard that I wouldn't worry about like one card being there.
All right, we'll play some games and see if any other ideas come up as we're going. So let's get rolling.
I know it's kind of crazy too in sideboard. Everyone's on Twin Twister right now, but I'm on Typhoon because if you top deck a late Twin Twister, like you're still dead to IO. But if you top deck like Typhoon, you can always just kill the IO like immediately if you don't set anything.
Yeah, I really like Typhoon. I think that's a good card to side for this deck. It makes sense.
It came up really hard for me in this Shadal matchup because they'll flip Schism and then I'll just chain Typhoon, and it's just detrimental.
Yeah, as long as back row is like sitting face up on the field, it's a good hit. Well, we lost the dice roll. Our opponent's going first. We are on EU competitive on Yugioh Pro, which doesn't mean anything. They can literally be playing
Ancient Gear.
Literally anything. I think most people play on EU competitive because there's just more players there, which is it's hard to get players on the other servers. So you'll play against garbage, and then people will be like, "Oh, you're playing so hardcore against garbage," and I'm like, well, "Then don't play on here." So this card searches usually, I mean, it can search the other dark summoning thing and then it can normal it because this lets them make an extra normal. Or it'll search the spell card, which lets them like revive these little 0/0 fiends every turn. If this is a real deck, then this is meant to make curious the Lightsworn Dominion and mill something. If it's a bullshit deck, it's just I don't know exactly what it's going to do. Your call.
Probably just hold it.
Yeah.
I probably just hold it.
Yeah, if it's a real deck, it's going into Curious, in which case it could be trying to set IO, which could be a problem. There's no way to know for sure.
You just ash the Curious at that point.
Yeah, but Curious at least is a problem if you like kill Curious, you know, they get to recur something. So sometimes you don't want to let them get to Curious, but since we don't know what they're doing for sure. Okay, he's just on the regular garbage.
I mean, we have mind control in hand though, so even if they stop on Curious, I just go one card into Access.
Yeah, I mean, we open the card for that, but, you know, we don't always. Although it's cool, Access can target their card that you link with.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, I didn't realize you can do that at points, but, you know, you play enough, you learn.
What is this thing?
It just summons one of the fake god cards.
Yeah, you just ash that for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's a solid place. Because if he gets the fake god card thing on the board, the Sacred Beasts, he can start using the spell card and lets him draw cards every turn. He's only on a 13 card extra deck, so this guy's probably playing a pretty garbage deck. Alright, so you can banish this to add one to hand, but he has no way to put it on board currently.
It's always interesting with Rogue, because you never really know how it's going to go.
Yeah, sometimes Rogue decks will like lay the smack down, because they just do something weird. This card, So he contributed to summon one of the god cards from his hand, but he had to pitch it to summon this. But he can also banish this from grave to search for a the Fallen Paradise, which is the draw 2 card. So currently he doesn't really have anything.
This is where it gets a little interesting. Can you fan his grave real fast?
None of these cards actually do anything, and I don't think we can summon this. We could summon this.
I think what we do here is we just normal the Ray, but I have no idea if he's on like called by here or what any of the traps for this deck do. So I probably wouldn't do the greedy thing and just attack and tag out. I'd probably go straight into Hayate here.
Alright. I mean, we're probably going to win anyway. Do you have a preference of zones? I don't know if it matters anymore.
I go on the right. I maintain the middle.
Oh. Alright. And just attack?
Yeah, I would just attack. Just want to bait what you can.
No,
just crash the monster.
No reason to attack directly. This deck tends to play continuous spells and traps because their continuous spell and trap can both discard. I think they can just add back continuous spells and traps once per turn. Like here's a continuous trap. So
interesting.
Tribute 1, draw 1.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
They can have that.
But they play like these kinds of spells and traps, which aren't anything we're worried about. Like they'll play Metal Reflex Slime. That'll be annoying.
What is that?
I have no idea.
Special summon, you're using its procedure. Also in face down, you can summon tracking. Yeah, we definitely just bell that. There's no point not to. Like he's just gonna bring out a big guy.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this one, but you know it's getting negated, so it doesn't matter.
Bell is just such a good card.
That one doesn't do anything.
You use this based on how many you control. Yeah, he don't have any, so it's fine.
And great thing about Bell, if you negate the activation of a continuous spell or trap card, it will go to the graveyard, assuming it wasn't already face up. What should be foolish?
This is kind of like our weird one here. He doesn't. We already know he doesn't have anything, so I would just send Engage. But like on a typical run, like if you see back row or still cards in his hand, I would just assume he has Ash, and I would just send the for sure card and then end phase Shizuku at Engage instead. So I would just like Kagari back here in the main phase too.
Okay.
Shizukuing back your Engage in the end phase is so much stronger than just going for it immediately, unless you know outright that you just like they don't have Ash.
All right.
I would Shark Cannon the monster that allows him to search the Fallen Paradise.
Just making sure I know which one that is. Got it. Goodbye, Chaos Summoning Beast.
How many spells is that in grave right now?
Only one.
So what? Okay. So we'll just engage here. This is where it's interesting too, because you probably could have searched even like multi-roll before you did that, and then end phase search like Widow Anchor, but you'd like banish one. We're not like in an immediately like threat with this one, so I'd probably just search the Widow Anchor, and then I would just set the Imperm in the column with I don't even know, because there's no way he gets a big guy in the field, so I'd probably just set it in center.
I mean, the thing is, if he gets one monster and just uses it for Dark Factory, there won't be a card to target with Imperm even. Or if he summons a monster, he can just like tribute it off to draw a card. So we might want to try and... I mean, I feel like Imperm's going to be a dead card. We might want to save it for something that's a little more threatening and put it in a different column.
I mean, we could. It doesn't really matter, because if he gets a smaller trap off the top, then he's going to summon a monster after that. So, I mean, it's going to be like, it's going to be a good negation, but it's going to be like a dead card to have right now. You need to go Shizuku, friend.
You are correct. I done messed up. You know, their deck's so like weak that I just like wasn't even thinking about it.
We already have like enough negation right now. Shouldn't even matter.
So that card he can send a card on his field. I think they add that to his hand.
Yeah, you can tribute on.
Oh, a monster.
But he'd still have to tribute 3, so it's fine.
All right. What would we have searched if we had the option to search? I mean, it didn't matter.
In the end phase, I'd probably just search Jamming Waves, because it looks like his deck's on the big back rail train, so it would have been better.
Yeah.
Either that, or you Afterburner, and then you like if you draw a Ray, then you just like Afterburner your own Link and then pop an Unknown.
All right. So he's on back row deck. All of his stuff is face up. So thoughts on the side pattern here?
I mean, it's all face up, but I probably wouldn't side like more than 3 cards here. I would probably do. Well, it depends though, right? Because like I don't really think his deck like does that much, and like the back row isn't really that threatening.
Shared ride could be
Where
good
like
here. He looks like he adds a lot of cards.
shared ride is one of those things where it's gonna be really good, but if he goes first, like he's gonna do most of his searching on his side. And so if you're just going second anyway, like it doesn't really matter.
All right.
He could be on back row though that like shuts us down. I would just go like 2 Typhoon and a Harpies here.
And what do we cut?
I would take out mine for sure. That's just not gonna be relevant here. Um, the Bell's good. The Valor's good. I'd probably take out like 1 Valor is fine. And then do like, I don't even know, like Call Wiggers, whatever.
That could stop a lot of his stuff. Although Valor and Imperm are really good in this match because their monsters have like a... He has a continuous effect to let him normal summon an additional time, so he's negated and he just becomes super useless.
Yeah. I like the 2/2/2. Like if you ever get into that situation with sideboarding, especially with Bell, because Bell stops him from special summoning his big guys off his trap, so it's pretty good.
All right, let's stick with this for now, and I'm sure this won't be the matchup where anybody learns anything too crazy. Hopefully we get a better matchup in the next one. But yeah, this deck's kind of weird. Like any card where it has like an on summon effect and then maybe like another effect, like Valor and Imperm are really broken against, and this deck just happens to have them. Like they're good against like Girsu or Mubeda Fafnir, I think.
I know like a lot of people were really on Crow as well. Like when the format first started, Crow was like the be all end all, and then now it's Valor and Perm. If you're not playing those, it's like you're so behind.
Well, Crow
They
can
just stop
hit
so much.
everything, I think, right?
So like if you're smart and you add your engage in the end phase of Shizuku and then you hold it till when you need it, you don't get crowed. That's why I really like the Bell too, is because it works as like a double thing to not get your stuff banished. But like Crow was really good against the Drytron matchup because you could Crow a Medionis, which was insane. It shuts off like half their deck, or you just Crow Ben 10, and that's not really a good way to get back. Which is really solid because like anything you can do to slow that deck down is just like wonderful. I do play the cycle readers for them, but like it's so hard. Like if they have so much gas, then you just lose anyways. But you got to do what you can.
Yeah. Well, it looks like our opponent might have properly rage quit since they're not choosing to go first or second. So I think I'm going to close the game and reopen the game and start another match.
Oh, Bell's insane. Bell's a great card. A lot of people aren't playing Herc Base or Eagle Booster, and I think that's really weird.
Oh, I totally forgot if they were in our list. Were they?
The only reason they're not right now though is because there are cards that are just better. But even before the YCS, like I still have more testing I had to do with my build before I decide that I'm gonna be not playing those.
First or second?
Second's fine. I had to see the game. There we go.
Thoughts on the going first list? Because I know ours isn't on like floodgates or anything. Like I think some people are on like what? There can be only one. Oh, Geist.
Going first is okay. I just prefer to go second because there's so many like blowout cards in the metagame right now that it just is unfortunate. And like you can get ahead with card advantage, but I'd rather just go second and see a handful of spells. It's so much better. This matchup's kind of scary. They more than likely are siding or at least mating 1 copy of Secret Village, which is where things get really dicey. This is definitely an interesting hand here. I would go ahead and just go normal summon of Ray. This is a matchup that's going to be a lot more common. With Striker back in the meta, a lot of people are feeling much more confident to play the Geist deck. Definitely would not summon that here.
Gotcha. All right.
I would just go ahead and go... well, it's kind of hard to say because it's Geist and they could have Strike here, which makes things all the worse. I know that he has like the Link Rainbow, and we probably won't do like damage here, but I'd almost say just go straight into Hayate here and just like try to hit. because background Geist is actually really not insane because like he already went Mule Seek effect, so there's got to be something back there that can activate it right away.
Just to clarify, when you say try to hit, do you mean do the area 0 shuffle with the ray, or just go straight into it and then try to hit him direct?
And like try to attack like into the Link Revo.
Okay, because there's the.
Has,
I was thinking of the area 0 play where you target your ray.
right, I just don't know what he has in the back row right now, and that's scary.
All right.
I would just go ahead and attack into the Link Revo.
Because, yeah, not directly. Okay, so he's going to use Linkaribo. We don't need to do damage.
No, we don't.
That'd be a terrible use of a Call by the Grave.
Although the Grave in this matchup is actually really good.
That's annoying.
Crackdown, gotcha. Yeah, that's fine. So we just hit no response on that. He's gonna go Crackdown. He's gonna go Multi-Faker. Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, it would have been nice if he had activated Manifestation, because Bell can negate the activation, then he wouldn't have activated a trap card.
It's unfortunate, but this is pretty much where I was going to go from the start. So I was expecting that. That's interesting. I definitely would have thought that he would have went on Silcoides. I think that's a little greedy.
It could be in his hand.
Let's go main 2. I'd probably just pop the Desires here.
Yeah, I guess our opportunity to get anything we really wanted out of our deck first didn't work out.
Call by that. For sure, call by that.
Yeah, I don't think there's like a better time in this matchup. Especially if Protocol can just flip over and... Wow. Alright.
This is why this matchup is not the best.
Well, we have 2 spells for later and a ray, and we at least have a way to ray. We lost our Metal Foe Fusion, multi-roll. We still have Engage, though.
Yeah, Desires in this deck is so free now with Rose.
Yeah, because many ways to ray. Alright, pass turn, I guess?
Yeah, this is definitely just a pass, unfortunately. Like, sometimes there's just back row that you just can't deal with. This is where Twin is pretty okay. But, like, you don't know what you're playing against when you go into a Geist Mirror, because, like, they could be an Ice Dragon Prison. Like, you really just don't know what they're on. He definitely searches a Marionetter here. Marionetter is probably going to get the Manifestation.
Well, Manifestation's a card we can at least stop.
Yeah, if he gets Protocol, it's going to be annoying, but it's probably manageable.
Well, he set Manifestation.
No, he got Mana.
So that's better for us, I would say.
Yeah, this guy is playing super greedy. I don't agree with that at all. Ooh. You have to bell this. Because he's just going to bring it back regardless.
Yeah. I think we're just in a losing position. I don't think it matters what we do. But, you know, who knows? What can we draw that would be productive here?
I mean, you have to kind of bait some things out here because he has a negate on board. We know he has a man. I don't know if he has like another card in hand right now, like back row wise. We'll kind of see how it goes. Yeah, he does. He probably has another judgment or something. Oh, there's 2. Yeah, that's not a good card.
We can scoop if you think it's not worth the effort. I don't think we have a chance here.
I definitely think we scoop here for sure. Like this is a scoopable hand.
I don't think there was anything productive to get out of that. All right, sideboarding versus Geist.
So when they have like multiple back row again, it just makes things a little bit more difficult. I think we bring in all 4 here through Typhoon, 1 Feather. Here it's still okay enough to have in like Valor, just because of like the cards themselves are really nice to like Marionetter to hit with that. But it definitely comes down to what's worse, because everything in this deck so far is like really good to deal with this matchup. A couple cards I'd probably take out though would be like Mind Control. I'll take out Mine. Sometimes like you won't always know right away like what to take out. I'd probably take out like 1 Valor, and then we need to take out 1 more.
Would be a little worse in this match. Like we don't need to top deck it and use it.
No, but like you can always set the Imperm, which in a trap deck is just better. Then you can start baiting things. Probably I would just say maybe like 1 imperm. Just go 2 Veiler, 2 imperm.
All right.
You need more board breaking cards and preventative cards against control.
Go second.
Yeah, go second for sure. They're gonna expect us to go first too, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this hand is interesting. Yeah, it just gets met with an imperm all day.
Get imperm, sucker.
This is why I say Pinkertops is such a scary card, because this is gonna break this board immediately. I'm kind of scared on that Desires. I feel like he's just gonna have the Ash. I would definitely just go ahead and goods here and just try to get Metal Foes in the grave, and then shuffle back Metal Foe. Just see what we can draw into.
There's no way he ashes that. That would be weird. Okay, never mind.
Oh yeah, we're definitely just activating Desires now. Free. I don't know why people like. I go against people who like Ash terraforming and whatnot. Oh, that's adorable.
Well, we haven't lost Fusion. We only lost a Rose, the Jamming Waves. I think we're pretty good. This is not a bad banish.
Where are we at spell-wise in grave?
What was that?
We're on 2 spells in grave, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we are. Okay. I'd probably just engage here for Ray. This is why I don't like this application too, is because like you don't know if they actually have free active back row. They'd probably try to bluff you, but like it just auto-activated engage for you, so you like know they don't have interaction, which is just interesting.
Well, you can hold the button down and force it more, but you know.
Yeah. I'd probably just summon Pankratops here. We don't know how this one's about to go. I would normal summon Ray behind it though, and then just like go battle phase without like trying to tag in anything, because we're gonna be able to bait a lot here. I would just go Pankratops attack. Just one of the best cards in the game. Card's crazy. Because even if he tries to crack down, you just chain pop. I would chain Ray for sure.
Is there any potential argument to not chain it and just do it in main phase 2 after we hit this thing?
There is an argument for that. Because I mean, he could have strike here, but like, I feel like it's almost worthwhile. I don't know, because if he's trying to bait here, you know, it's really hard to say.
All right, we'll activate. Hayate?
Yeah, I'd go right into Hayate here. I see where your argument is, but I feel like if he's not like straight up activating things right away here, just ash that.
It always feels weird ashing this card because it's still there, and we're gonna have to like deal with it again.
But like you have 2 ash in hand, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, in this specific scenario, I agree with that ash, but I hate ashing that card.
Because like the way I look at it too is that like you're gonna attack for 15. This back row, if it's not strike, he would have activated a strike on the Ray. So like if it's not strike, then if he does bring it out when we summon like Kagari, then I don't think it's gonna be a big issue. We're definitely gonna get to our engage here, which is nice. Like again,
well,
so
it's in grave, so
I would. What can we do here?
Don't we want a card we can activate and just to put something in grave to make engage alive? I'm not sure. Is there one?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the deck right now. I think we did banish the one card though that I was looking for here. I think we got rid of our jamming waves, which this is why you should still run this, is because you could pop the back row here and then pop the Phantasme. Yeah, it's banished, unfortunately.
Alright.
I would just go ahead and send an area 0.
Alright. I feel like that's pretty common as a send when nothing else makes sense.
I would go here into our Kagari. It's an interesting board shape here. The only card in his hand right now, so it's evenly matched. Okay.
So just so people know, if you Pankratops this, he has 0 cards, and then we have to banish all of our cards. So the only right thing to do is to let Pankratops get banished.
Correct.
I've definitely seen people like MST and evenly matched or dumb things. Okay.
Yeah, no, just let that go. He's gonna get to his Phantasme, which is fine.
Well, not this turn. Once per turn, fortunately. Alrighty.
Alright, so now we can go ahead and go into our Shizuku. You can activate the Engage. I would take a peek at his grave. Also, Shizuku would always go in the left zone. Just for whatever deck you're playing against, it's really relevant to just know that.
Okay.
Is because you want to maintain the middle zone. I would go ahead and you just use Engage. Here we'll get multi-roll, and then end phase we'll search Widow Anchor, and then like set Anchor with multi-roll.
Yes, I think I will draw a card. Alright.
That's pretty useless now.
Activate roll.
Yeah.
Then the Shizuku Shuffle.
Yeah, end phase, Shizuku will search Widow Anchor, and then you'll use Widow Anchor on Shizuku, and then reset it with roll.
Okay, so now we have roll his face up. We're activating Widow Anchor, so we've now activated a striker spell this turn. So before the turn ends, we can activate multi-roll to set a card. And we're going to set Widow Anchor because it's defensive. Okay, just for anyone who doesn't know how the Shizuku Shuffle works.
Price is always like a really interesting matchup. That's why, like I said, go second as well. Even if you feel like you're in the driver's seat against decks like this, like he put in evenly matched. It's just one of those things where once you play striker going first, like game one, like I'd almost never go first again, is because like everyone will just side in like insane back row blowouts against you.
All right, any thoughts on anchoring to set some other card? I know we have 3 Kagari, so that's not a. I think that used to be a pretty common thing, right? If you don't have to use your card, you just do it so you can get engaged back or something. But
just like it's set, because we can just Kagari back our engage. Even before when we had like 3 engage, you just like at that point you would have just like set an engage because we had multiple, but now you just like leave it in the grave.
right.
I'd probably start off here with honestly just multi-rolling the Metal Foes Fusion and then just seeing what you get off the draw. But I would do send that and then Kagari effect add engage, and then we'll search something and then we'll draw off the Metal Foe.
Oh, all right, Kagari first.
You don't want to dead draw it. Yeah, you don't want to dead draw it. So we'll search engage here. Engage will probably just search the shark cannon.
Well, at this point, we can get
burners
because like this card can't respond to us now.
Well, no, that's honestly okay because we already activated multi-roll, so we can just like take the Phantasme.
Oh, okay.
And then we can do a lot of damage.
All right, so leave him alone. So the only thing that's happening here is he's going to draw a card. Well, he's going to draw 2 cards and make a choice of what cards to keep.
So like he dies here, like no other ways to it. So we're gonna get the engage, and we're gonna search Rose, and then we're just gonna normal Rose after we take his Phantasme. He's gonna die. If you already have a Ray, then there's no point to search Ray again. Like just get the Rose. Leave Rays in the deck. Get Roses out.
Fusion?
Yeah, that's fine. That's another really good thing about Rose, though, is that like you can just start searching them instead of your Rays, and then you don't have to worry about it. Like you know that you have backups in the deck.
I assume we should just put a spell engrave, but
yeah, that's fine. I usually just like activate everything first.
All right.
Here, like, there's so many different avenues you could take, but you know that he could be on like evenly matched or like his Nibiru, and you don't want to like go super hard here when he's only at 55. So I would just steal his Phantasme here with a Widow Anchor that's set, and then just normal Rose, and then just kill him.
All right, just to do some counting, that's 44 and 15 would be what, 59?
Something like that. Yeah, he's just gonna die off this.
Okay. All right, attack for game. I guess if he has Imperm, he lives.
What a card that'd be, Imperm Faker.
Oh, that'd be broken.
That'd be insane.
I assume we're staying the same, right?
There is an argument here where he lets you go first. But like the thing you gotta think about too is that his deck doesn't really do a whole lot. So like even if he makes us go first, there isn't a reason to really like do anything. So like we can like summon a Rose or a Ray and then go into like Shizuku and just search in the end phase. But like I would just leave my board completely blank if he makes us go first,
All right.
because this is just control at the end of the day, and I don't want to like play into that. This would be really good to have like ride, but he didn't like search as much, so I wouldn't even worry about siding again.
Okay. That was the only card I considered like a going first card we weren't playing already.
Oh, this hand's gas.
All right.
Yeah, see, he's gonna make us go first. Big brain. I would just set the imperm in the middle column and then go Ray Shizuku and then end phase search engage. But so summon Ray and then go end phase and then activate Ray's effect in the end phase so you don't get failured. The only thing that you can get punished by there is Gamma, but no one's on Gamma right now. It's fine. I mean, that's annoying, but it is what it is. And then here we just search engage, which is fine.
Engage sounds fantastic. Gosh darn it.
An Ash again. It's fine though, because that puts a fire in grave, so it's a heated target later.
Any thoughts on other charmers? I think like the Earth Charmer would be nicer if everyone was on Pank still. I don't think like Pank is like a guarantee play nowadays.
When the spiral deck was the thing, we always played Asa. That one was really good.
I guess we have no response for Extrav.
Yeah, I honestly think that like throughout this whole turn, you definitely just hold the imperm till turn 3. There's no point to activate it because it's just gonna get negated. I'd rather bait the negate on the Phantasme and then like Afterburner.
Alright, that makes sense. So this is once per turn, so we might as well force it later when it's productive.
Yeah, because like right now it literally just gets negated. Like there's no other way about it. This is actually a really dumb hit unless he has something, because you just let Shizuku die here, and then you just summon back Ray. So he's just gonna let us search in the end phase unless he has like some other plan here. I'd never understand when people just like blindly hit the Shizuku, like if you don't have follow-up.
Some sort
It's
of
actually
plan.
kind of wild.
They have to have some sort of plan when they do this, or they're just dumb.
People do it a lot more than you think. Like they just attack the Shizuku for no reason. And
I mean,
then you summon Ray
they
and
do run you out of cards, but I mean, you usually don't need that many by the time the game is over.
Lethal end phase for that. But this is what I'm talking about. He also just set a card in the imperm column.
Genius.
Like this is exact. So even here, honestly, so like you search your engage here, but I'd probably afterburner first, and then we would bait the negate out of the Phantasme, and then you'll just imperm like the Phantasme. Oh, that's annoying. That's fine though. We're baiting ashes. That's cool. We don't have a spell engrave yet, which is kind of annoying. We got Ray. That's good. So here's the thing, right? He normal summons the Silcordis, so I'm assuming he has protocol in the back, which is kind of annoying. We have no spells engrave right now, which is also a problem.
Isn't there like a way to sequence this that's like super plus? Like if we try to burner Silk, which I know is weird, he might negate with Phantasme, then we can imperm Phantasme. I don't know, I'm just thinking this through as if he's going to make the protect with Phantasme on like that choice.
We're gonna be able to do some cool things here. It really depends. I think we definitely out both of his back row here, which is really nice. And then we'll be able. He already is down 2 Ash, so the probability of him having the third is really low. It could be a thing, but I'm just gonna go in my head and say he probably doesn't. So here, what I would do is I would just go activate Afterburner in like one of the far columns, and then target the Phantasme to literally force him to negate that.
Or he'll let it die. I mean, I wouldn't care about a Phantasme.
I mean, either way, then we just get free targeting, which is really cool.
All right.
So yeah, he definitely negates that here. Oh,
Ooh.
why didn't he just summon? Okay, okay, neat. I might have even held the Phantasme longer just to summon the Fingertops. So he did that, and then here I would just activate Imperm and just target the Silcordis. Because Phantasme, like, it doesn't even have an effect right now, so just like target Silcordis.
That's fine.
Yeah, going back in the infirm. We're just forcing cards here. So that's fine.
That
My only
effectively did this.
concern- Yeah, so okay, we were able to deal with a lot here, which is really fine. He has protocol on board. His last card in hand, it really could end up being something relevant here, like a faker, which would be unfortunate. No, okay, so we're in the clear. So this is kind of weird now, because we can look at our grave currently. And we have one spell. So this might be a weird synchro thing, but this is like how we're gonna do this. So go into Hayate. And then let me, if you will, read the protocol real fast to clarify something. So this is where we just go ahead and go battle phase and swing straight into the Stelcordos. Interesting. So we can just hit no here, and then we'll get our Ray back, which is fine. Because he doesn't have anything anyway. He has like a random card in hand right now. So we'll go ahead, and then we'll go Ray, and then Ray can like swing into the Stelcordos, just get rid of it. We know one card in his hand is a protocol, which is fine. And then here we can just go like our main phase 2 and go straight into our Shizuku.
I mean, we could Kagari to pick up the afterburner and kill this thing. He already pitched his Pank.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. We could do that too. I'm always about like just saving resources, but that's fine.
I feel like we're in a winning position as is.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where like you never really know like what he tops here. Like he could top Extravagance and be like super in the clear. So like every time I play against other control decks, I never feel like I'm gonna win the game. I always feel like I have to like be careful. Yeah, Shizuku. I'd probably just go like Shizuku set Shark Cannon here, which is fine, and then end phase Search Engage.
All right, it'd be nice to have 3 spells so we can take his Pank, because he was so kind to throw it in the graveyard for us.
Yeah, it's really awkward too in this like format or day and age of Striker where people are not playing a ton of spells. Like we're playing a ton of spells, but like they're not playing like 3 area and like all the spells we're used to seeing. So it's really hard to get like a lot of spells in grave sometimes. You have to like play it out because you have a lot of hand traps. Yeah, I would just banish the Stelcordos here. You just don't want them to have Geist monsters, which using the Feather Duster here is really bold. Unless the card in your hand right now is insane beside Protocol, like there's literally no reason to be activating Feather Duster right now. Especially if like you're just not gonna die here. I think that's a little silly. He does have yeah, okay, so he's gonna get the Marionetter. Marionetter's not gonna matter though, because it gets like Manny, and like what does that even do for you? Yeah, that's whatever. Because we're gonna be able to go main phase 1, jamming waves, pop one of the 2, which if it's still set, we target the protocol all day here. And this is gonna be pretty much wrapping it up. Yeah, we go jamming waves for sure, target the protocol.
I know, it would be nice to be able to wait a little longer, but he could just flip it up and then it's not eligible at all.
It's like I'm gonna activate this so it can't be blown up. This is not how that works, friend. We're gonna go engage here, which is super solid. This is the only reason I miss having 2 afterburner in the deck is because this would just clear this up, no problem. But it's not gonna be an issue either way. Here I would just search the multi-roll. You want to be able to get card advantage ASAP. He also wasted the Duster, so we're in the clear. That's fine. And then we'll be able to get our engage back. Because engage and engage is very powerful Yu-Gi-Oh! Honestly, here...
I was wondering if we want to burners and just kill everything.
You probably just get... Yeah, I can see the argument for that. That's probably fine. Like, you just swing over, like, the Mary, too, and then, like, usually it's fine, but, like, you just don't want them to have card advantage, so Kagari into that, it's fine.
Also, currently there's no target for Manny, but, there will be if we kill it.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter which one we get.
Yeah, the afterburn is fine.
Should we activate roll? Then we can set the shark cannon.
That would be fine. Usually, like, I'll just like activate that late, and then I'll search something in the end phase because I'm so used to them having like reactive back row, and so I'll just wait till that's like the last thing, and I bait everything. But we already know what the board is here. Because a lot of times, like if you activate the multi-roll and they have literally any form of interruption, they will just attack your multi-roll immediately.
We could do Hayate. I don't know if we need another card in grave. We're out of shiz as well.
Can we? Let me see. Can I see our grave here? This is always interesting. Can we normal summon the Ash right here? Yeah, we can. I was about to say. It's a new turn. So I would just normal the Ash and kill him. It won't be like death, but like it'll be fine.
All right. So Fibrax combo.
Yeah, Fiber and Valor. And then we go end phase, set the Shark Cannon, and then set our Imperm as well. And then if he does literally anything, we just summon his Pankratops and he loses. Yeah, that's fine. You can get Protocol. It's whatever. This is where you just get in so much advantage, it's not even funny, because like you hit for a ton. This is why I really like Eagle Booster still as well, because I'll hit with Access Code for 53 and then just Eagle Booster it, and then you'll have it the next turn too. And then you can reset the Eagle with the multi-roll, and it's just like super strong.
But again, Booster's not in this list, right?
No, it's still something I'm testing out though for the next event coming up. This is not a final list. If you ever go into a YCS or a big event and you tell me that your list is done 2 weeks early, like you need to go back to the drawing board and like keep looking at your list because there's always changes to be made.
Oh yeah, something should change every time you test the list.
Never be afraid either to tell your friends or like whoever is in like your Yu-Gi-Oh group that new information is new information. Like lists are always changing, card choices are always changing. Like there's so many things to consider when you play this game.
Evenly matched, really?
I mean, yeah, this is the card.
I mean,
but like he has evenly matched Protocol, he's gonna die.
Yeah, I guess we just literally banish everything and attack for game with access code.
Yeah, he literally has evenly matched with Protocol. There's nothing you can do here. Like, sure, dog. Take your banishes. I also have Ray in hand. It's chilling. Set 1, Mystery card.
And
would you look at that?
For funds, we blow it up.
For funsies. Yeah.
Alright.
GG's.
Let's go back to the deck list. Alright, was there anything that didn't come up that's really worth mentioning? I feel like a billion things didn't come up. Just from the games that were played, and I'm sure there'll be more to see. You've been playing this list on your streams lately, right? Or variations of it?
Like 5 hours a day. I've been playing. I have 17 different lists of Striker right now.
Okay, that's 17 more than I do. So everyone should be going to GGYGO on Twitch to follow progress.
Yeah, we so I really value my community and a lot of what they have to say as well, because there are some times out there when I'm like really hard-headed and I'm like, oh, there's no way this card's good, and then like I'll try it out and I'm like, okay, this card's pretty good. And it really is nice to come together with a lot of people and just kind of present information and just know exactly what's good or what's bad. My list is definitely catered for the meta. More so Rogue, there's always ways to deal with it because again, the deck is a toolbox. So like it's just inherently built to deal with whatever you're going up against. There were cards, even in like the Geist matchup that like would not come up, which is okay. Things like Mind Control, it's a card that's a one-of that you can't search. So it's kind of lackluster, but at the same time, it's one of those things where like if you see it, it's broken. Because if they end on like a link to, like you're automatically going into something big or like a unicorn debate card. If they have just any kind of like fire on board, you can go immediately into Hida. If they have a tuner, you can go into Falk. So it's just one of those cards. It's just kind of win more, but like there's a slot for it in the deck, so I'd say it's pretty okay to run here. If I wanted to play booster, I'd probably cut either control or like called by. Called by is one of those cards that should be either at 3 or 0. It's a really weird one to have at 1 because like you want to run it and it's a good card, but like you almost never see it and there's almost never a reason to play it because like I feel whenever I see it, it's like okay, but I never miss it. As long as you know how to play around hand traps and like use your roll to your advantage and like try to bait like crows with your Hayate and whatnot, you're pretty okay and well off. Whereas if your call by was like a booster, then you could easily just search it and be able to utilize it every list. The Mystic Mine is actually something that's going less and less in the format right now. There's a lot, so it's a really good card, and you will just auto win against certain decks. But from what everyone's saying so far, is that most of the decks you're playing against right now in tournaments are like Shadal, Tri-Brigade, Striker. These are decks that can outrage just out your mind, or like don't care about mine, especially like the Striker Mirror. The Tri-Brigade deck does hurt a bit when you activate mine against them, and it can be an auto win, which is why it's really nice. But a lot of other decks right now just don't care about it. So it's one of those things where you still want to run like one of, but it's not like a 2 or 3 of like it used to be.
All right, at the moment I'm playing it at 3 with 1 terraforming, but I also play triple droplet, so like it's good versus Drytron if you're on like triple droplet because you can activate Mine Chain Droplet, negate Herald, and like set yourself up for later. But it's decent versus Tri-Brigade because they don't automatically main deck outs for it other than like Imperial Order. I think Tri-Brigade is like one of the decks for sure that's on Imperial Order in the main deck.
Yeah, it's really interesting. If I ever activate mine, like in today's age so far, from like the 4 or 5 tournaments I played in, with this list, I would say that I activate mine more often just to activate like all my cards without fearing like Ash or Valor.
So using it like a called by, I do that a lot.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like Callby isn't like that relevant because like there's so many other things you can do in this deck just to like bait hand traps or like nullify them for a time period so that you can like get your reactions off and then just be able to like outright kill your opponent, which is really nice.
What are these Gamma Seals for? Anything in particular?
Therefore, the Drytron matchup, me and a lot of my friends have decided that the Drytron matchup is only scary because of Ultimateness. Their end board is usually Fafnir, IP, and Ultimateness, and it's one of those things where they'll have 2 Orange Light in hand, but like this deck inherently does not care about monster effects, especially if they're going to blow up like a Hayate or something, and we just go back into Ray, and it doesn't really matter that much. Plus, if they have 4 cards in hand, and 2 of which are Orange Lights, if you bait both of those negates, they start their turn with no hand. So if you maintain like a Shark Cannon, you'll just be able to Shark whatever they're trying to summon first, and then all of a sudden they just lose. If you're able to Kaiju over the Ultimateness, a lot of times you're just in such a good position, especially with how many going second cards we have, that a lot of times if you just activate like 1 mine, they just lose. The other thing the Kaiju's for is one rogue deck in particular is starting to be such a problem in the meta. Not a problem, but like I see it in almost every tournament I play. There's at least 8 of them usually in like a 40-person tournament, and that's at Ignister. I feel like that's a deck that can outright kill you if you're not careful. That's why we play a lot of hand traps. We play a lot of ways to stop that deck. But they do end on the towers. We do have ways around that, i.e. like slamming over it with the access code or like kaijuing it. But that deck does have a lot of gas, and if you're not prepared for it properly, then you can lose.
Yeah, I was watching that matchup live yesterday. Generally, you hand trap them enough to where they can at best make the towers like 3k, which makes it a lot easier to out than usual. But, you know, if they go for the biggest version of it, I think they can get it up to like 6k. In which case, the Gamma Seal's a nice card for that. I was playing Underworld Goddess, but I mean, I don't think this is the kind of deck that Underworld Goddess would work in, because you need to get like a Link 2 and 2 other monsters on your field to deal with it that way. But
that card's adorable.
Yeah, it wouldn't work here.
I saw someone resolve that at locals the other day. It was really funny.
Yeah, I had like a BA Inferno deck where my turn 1 play was to set up for an IP for Underworld Goddess, but I mean, that card's a little easier to out than people like than you'd imagine, because it's affected by everything that targets, which is what Striker does. Pretty much everything here targets.
Yeah.
All right. Thinking of anything else that might be worth mentioning. Thoughts? How have you found Zeke in just your play? Like, because like if you Widow Anchor their cards, you see you have to like burn a Phoenix, which was always a little awkward.
So with Zeke, it's one of those things where if you have to multi-roll or zero a card off your board, it's really nice to like hold the Zeke. But like it's one of those cards where you don't burn it right away, or like in a weird situation, in my opinion, you only burn it like when A, you're gonna go for lethal, or B, when you just have like an awkward board state and you need to be able to clear cards off your own board. It definitely comes up as a utility, and it's won me a couple games where like you'll just have your like a rose in your hand, and then you'll have like a link on the board, and then I'll like relink summon the Rose, and then go into Zeke, and then like Zeke banish their EMZ, and then resummon the Rose, and then Rose negate a card. And so it's really cool because then you can go into like Unicorn, and then Unicorn spin a card, and then it's only down to you summoning one more monster to go into your access code. And so you clear so much. Like you'll pop one, you'll negate one, and then you'll spin one, and just having like Rose in your hand, which is insane. Lots of utility coming out of that card, but you don't always need to use a Zeke right away or like at all. But like when you do use it, it's really strong.
What exactly are you bringing in the shared rides for, and in what scenario? Is this like you predict you're going first or something?
So there's many decks right now that will make you go first because the strange thing about Striker is the second people realize that they make you go first, you don't do a whole lot, and then they just kind of kill you. If you're smart though with Striker, you'll find ways to mitigate that. But there are a lot of people right now that will make you go first. And that's one thing where you need powerful cards like Shared Ride, which will literally make the mirror pass. Certain decks right now, like Drytron, either they take the challenge and hope they don't get hand trapped, or they will just pass back to you. Different Dimension Ground, really insane card as well. It does like the same thing as far as applying pressure to your opponent as a chainable back row. So if you ever feel like you're going first, Shared Ride and DDG are almost mandatory in my mind because if they have a blowout card, you need something that's chainable now that you can activate, and it will prevent them from pushing into you so hard.
All right, I think that kind of wraps everything up.
If you're on the fence about playing Rose, I was on the fence for a very long time, and it took me a long time to accept that that's a card. But it's one of those things where there's so much kill potential behind it, and there's so much utility that I would at least recommend checking it out.
All right, cool. All right, everybody. We will see you in future videos, more episodes of the How to Play series. Make sure you go to GGYGO on YouTube and Twitch, and we will see you next time.